Well. Welcome, everyone. Grand and glorious day to you today on this amazing day where life is occurring. Yes, it is. Yes, it is on this amazing planet at this amazing time, in this amazing space. Here we are together. And in the work that we are doing together, I'm just so blessed and grateful that you're coming along as we choose to upgrade our own personal frequency and vibration, as we choose to be more competent, compassionate, caring, kind, empathetic to ourselves and all our fellow travelers. Everyone out there, wishing them well, especially them who might not be wishing us the most wonderful wishes for peace of mind and well-being, because it is important what we think about, how we think, how we alchemize the process of alchemy of our thoughts that resonate throughout our body and then reverberate out there onto the earth plane. We really are potent and powerful when we think for ourselves, but it's really kind of a lost art, the process of thinking. And it's kind of a fine line that we walk, because there's a lot of overthinking that's going on. And that overthinking tends to spiral us into a stressful, cortisol filled experience. Here we go. Move that. Because if we don't learn to think, we're really not taught to think anymore. And that's why I've delved so deeply these 30 plus years into the ancient teachings of the mystery schools regarding how to best use our gray matter, right? The mechanism that is the brain, that is the portal to the mind. The mind. What is the mind? Wow. I mean, it's just vast. It's just so vast. And the potential for our expansion up the scale of consciousness, up the ladder of the seven minds in the Philosophia Perennis, that philosophy, that forever philosophy that it really doesn't change. It really hasn't changed. I mean, you could go back and read the great thinkers of all time and their experience into the realm of the mind would be the exact same that you and I would have today. I mean, to me, that just is, it's just amazing to me as I stand here at this moment in time thinking about the great thinkers. Now, I've never been a great thinker. If you know me, I'm very simple. I'm a simple gal. But my ability to intuit, to access these higher realms of awareness have come from my prayer and meditation practice and my consistent belief in something greater than myself, that is that higher self, that is the Christ consciousness that allows us to be here, present, and experiencing this lifetime. And to have even a greater experience and understanding, we always want to kind of have part of our awareness centered in the body, which is the witnessing process of us, which allows us to learn to respond with ability or take responsibility for our actions in a grander way. I was thinking last night when I was thinking about the class that I'm teaching today at 10 a.m. online, This Energetic Life. I hope you'll come along for this series. We're talking about everything, and we're busting open some conspiracies that I've been talking about for more than 30 years. Hang on, I'm walking away. I'm gonna grab the binoculars here and take a look out at some of the interesting things happening above. But I was thinking the other day about something that happened to me that was embarrassing and painful. I used to be a pet nanny. I love animals, and for a long time I took care of many dogs. I did dogs, birds, horses, fish, turtles. Unfortunately, one of the turtles died on my watch. Anyhow, one time, one of my little dogs, and he was a little dog, he was a little Chihuahua, and his name was Spike. And I had Spike for about 3 years as a client, and he was kind of a silly boy. He was, kind of a bad boy, actually. And but he and we had a routine, and when his father, his guardian would travel, I had Spike, probably 10, 15 days a month for, like I said, 2 or 3 years. And so we had this routine down. And when I was back waiting tables then, and I went early in the morning to get Spike out, and I left his back door cracked so that he could come in and out while I was at work. And when I got there later in the day, it was about 8 hours later, I walk in and there's no Spike. Like, Spike, where are you? Panic ensues. I go out in the backyard. I look around his fenced-in backyard, and one of the panels had been removed. Ugh. It was just a sinking feeling in my gut. As you can well imagine, Spike, little Chihuahua out there. And so I began what I called this stepping up for responsibility, of course, immediately. Scour the neighborhood, knock on every door. Spike's gone. Help me. I come home, I start making calls, and out of the blue, which was really weird, Spike's parent called. And I had not gotten around to being able to call him yet, and he must have sensed something. And because, we kind of had this little connection going, the three of us, we had a routine. I would talk to the client, usually not while they were traveling, though, unless something was wrong. And it's funny because this has happened a couple of times when I had pet nanny emergencies, and God bless everybody was okay at that time. And so Spike's gone, and I had to tell his dad, and his dad's like, I'm catching the next flight home. And it was interesting that night. I'm watching television. Of course, I'm praying. Of course, I'm creating signs. And I'm praying. And on the television that night, happened to be Animal Planet. I usually don't watch Animal Planet. And there was a little story. Maybe it was national. I don't know what it was. But there was a story of a dog that looked exactly like Spike. And it talked about their ferociousness. And this was in the summertime. So we weren't too worried about the cold. And I was so happy I was able to sleep a little bit that night because I knew that Spike was really a badass, right? So if anything was going to mess with Spike, he was going to go down swinging. So the next day, I have to go to the restaurant and I begin what this is my point. I began to tap into this expandedness, this expanded mind where everybody who came into the restaurant that day, I came in contact with, I said, we've lost a little dog. This is what he looks like. This is his name. This is the number to call. And we began this huge energetic net. And for 4 nights and 5 days, I would tell everybody, I put signs out, and we were beginning to get these sightings of Spike, Spike sightings. And Spike, being the bad boy that he was, he wouldn't even come with his name. So when dog catcher would call him, of course, he'd run the other way. When the cops would call him, he'd run the other way when people were. But we were seeing these sightings of him way up on one side of town and then way down on the other side of town. And through my shame and my embarrassment and my guilt about losing Spike, I knew something was happening because I had assumed. I responded with ability quickly. I immediately went into prayer. I immediately went into something's happened and we just want to get this taken care of. And on day 5, his dad calls and says, Spike's home. Now, the story of Spike is like a lot of the choices that we make. You know, I could have gone into guilt and denial and blame. It ended up that the landlord had removed that piece of wood to, I don't know, paint it or something. You know, neglected to tell any of us. And my excitement for the energy that I was creating kept me in a higher, buoyant frame of mind as opposed to a low vibrational frame of mind where I might have crumbled and not have been as effective in really sending out, like I said, this energetic network of helpers and guides and policemen and the dog catcher and his daddy. And eventually Spike did get rescued. And it was funny because, you know, I went and apologized, of course, and Larry said, I forgive you. And I was like, thank you so much. And a few weeks later, I was talking to Spike's mommy, and she said, after the experience, Spike is even a better boy. But that's not anything that we ever want anybody to go through. But my point is when we assume, when we respond with ability and we assume responsibility, we generally have better outcome as opposed to this crumbling that's occurring based upon people's reactions to what they're perceiving, as opposed to coming to this moment in time, this potent, powerful moment in time, fully awake, present, aware, and assuming full responsibility for every moment that we've walked upon this planet and all the times we walked on this planet before, up to this moment in time. Wow, that's big, I know. And it's so big that we have to ponder that. We have to take that in to the entire body. We have to get out of our head because the brain, in its obsessive thinkingness about, I'm not good enough, they like her more than me, he doesn't love me, I'm not worthy, that guy's an idiot, I'm going to just visceral gut reaction as opposed to being the responding beings of ability that we used to be. We've lost this ability to respond. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't react when something needs to be done. If someone is in crisis, we react and offer them our hand and pull them to safety as quickly as we can. You think about the little old lady who was able to lift the car off of her son when the car fell off its jack and was crushing her son, the little 80-year-old lady who was able to do it. And after the fact, she didn't remember it, but she said, I just responded. I just reacted. I just responded. And I had the ability. We don't even know the abilities that we have because we are too often in this cortisol-filled, stress-filled, reactionary mode, as opposed to the very expansive ability, responding with ability. Take responsibility. Does that make sense? Let's take a breath here. And let's just drop into our body, engage that powerful pelvic point. That gets us out of our head and into our body. It is said that, I remember I was taking a class and I was working with Dr. Jean Houston. And because of all this information that we're getting, we have to alchemize this information, which means run it through our own personal alchemizing system, which is this energetic field, which is this chakra system. Now, the chakras are measurable units of energy that interplay between the unseen and the seen world. So when we're here in our body with our pelvic power point engaged, that Mula Bandha, that Kegel, we're allowing this information to get into our body, because this is an information age. And we may not like the information that we're getting, but we have to learn to respond to it as opposed to just gut reaction to it, very visceral. And Dr. Jean Houston, when I was questioning her and said, how do we process all this information? And she shared with me that the second brain is in our heart space here. So when we come to our heart space, so here we are standing here at this moment in time, you and I and all of eternity, with our pelvic power point engaged. We put tongue to the back of our tooth. This creates that microcosmic orbit within us. And if we place our hands upon that very powerful heart center, which is where the thymus is, the seat of our immunity, right in the middle of our breastbone here, and we just breathe into this place, and we close our eyes, and we just become present and witness. We begin to gain insights, right? What are insights? Insights become the wisdom that we gain. Insight becomes the inner wisdom that we gain by learning to be present, awake, aware, and practice all of our abilities so that we can respond better. Take a breath here. Sorry about my little nose whistle there. Hold for an instant, and let's just engage the full body awareness, portal of healing. And on this exhalation, just release and let that go. Release and let that go. That restores our brain, which awakens our mind, which gives us the abilities to respond better to the external stimuli that we're probably being force fed to cause crisis, drama, dis-ease, lack of ease, more crisis, more drama. Don't be a drama mama. Don't be a drama llama. So today, just witness, just watch, just be aware of the interplay between what you're perceiving and what you're receiving within your outer sight, right? The beauty all around you, the blessings all around you, the wonderful people and fellow travelers that you're sharing this time and space with. And think about the abilities that you would like to improve. Think about how wonderful it will be, how wonderful it is to feel good, to feel God. To recognize that at this moment in time, all is well. And we're just asking for divine guidance, to be divinely guided, directed, protected, effective, to bring about this beautiful, peaceful, loving, compassionate Christ consciousness upon the planet. We have to feel good. We have to feel God, in my opinion, and in all that I have studied for more than 30 years. To learn every day, each and every day. We practice when we're feeling phenomenal so that when the shit hits the fan, and it will, we have an ability to move towards response. So I'm wishing you well today. I'm looking forward to our class today at 10 o'clock on This Energetic Life, raising the vibration, raising our frequency, improving all aspects of our health with our mind, with the mind, body, and beyond. During these times, during times of perceived challenge, we're looking for the blessing. We're just looking for the blessing and for the ability to be grateful, to be so very, very grateful for this amazing life. Have a super, super day.